Commissioner Whalen.
We do a virtual handshake.
He's doing the virtual handshake. Oh, I'm glad you're back.
Sorry about that.
All right, let me go over this with you, okay? And
Can somebody turn that camera around so I can see you?
oh, I'm glad you're back. Anyway, as you recall, although this is a special board meeting, you and I were charged with the process and protocols of this interview process since way back in, I think, March. And I guess we started in March, and then we made, we went through the posting, and we have, to my thinking, we have 4 well-qualified candidates, and by next Wednesday when we meet, we should be able to come to a consensus and appoint one of these 4 in order to fulfill the commitment that we made to this community back in May. So, having said that, I believe that the last time when we elected Dr. Osanati, we chose 2 people in the event that there were some issues with the contract or what have you. I know that they still have to go through the medical team, and they'll come back with a recommendation, okay? It's not a binding recommendation, but it's a recommendation to help us. And they'll be bringing that on next Wednesday, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Also, the leadership team will bring in their recommendation next Wednesday.
That is correct.
So what I am going to ask of our fellow commissioners here is to keep 2 people in mind from this meeting, from the 4 that applied and spent like almost a year. They have a lot of perseverance, this guy, because hanging in there for almost a year to just be interviewed by us is a daunting task. So I believe that I'm going to ask them to keep in mind 2 people so we can have 1 and 2. Now, if somebody says, well, I only want to nominate 1 and I don't want to go with 2, it's their choice, okay? But we must adhere to the commitment that we made to the public and move forward with a permanent CEO on that day. So do you have anything to add to this, since you're part of the process and protocol?
Yeah, I mean, that was the mandate that we established. That was the process. I think it's important that, this board can come to a consensus. I hope that there's a consensus there, and I think that process needs to be driven by the 5 members of this board. I mean, I think we want to hear from the medical staff. I want to hear their expressions, their concerns, and their issues may be very different than ours because, we have oversight and governance responsibility. They have a working responsibility. They have a skill set responsibility. They have a medical responsibility. It's going to be different. So I think, it'd be interesting to hear how the medical staff responds to the 4 individuals and their individual time with them, which I think is going to be very valuable in making our decision. And I'm interested to learn that next week for sure. And I'll do that from Florida, so I'll be in the office there because I want to see that in person. I think it's really critical.
Oh, okay, thanks. Well, remember that, I'll tell you the truth from my experience, and I don't know, Commissioner, you were the last of the Mohicans that is remaining here that was through the earlier interviews, and I really feel that we've done well and these people are very qualified, so we should be able to find a needle in a haystack. So is everybody okay with this?
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Ressler, Commissioner Yuri?
What am I okay with? I'm not
No,
trying
no,
to
to the
understand.
fact that each one of us is gonna,
Sorry.
you know, each one
I
of
didn't-
us is gonna keep two people in mind, one and two out of these four people. And then we're gonna listen to the doctors, we're gonna listen to, who's heading your team over there? Gino is heading the other team, we're gonna listen to the leader.
So-
Each team has a different leadership, right?
Yes, and Sandra Todd Atkinson at Medical Center.
We didn't pick it, just.
Correct.
You know, you guys.
Yeah, it's the CEO of each
Right.
of the two hospitals, but
Right.
everyone has been involved, and you have one HR person, Kiara Page, who will help facilitate everything.
Okay, all right. So what I'm saying, come with two people in mind, because if one has a flat tire, then we have to go to number two. And I don't want to go through this process again. I don't want to open it again. I don't want to spend money again doing these things. I want to give Broward Health I really do, and I mean it, the CEO that we have not been able to give in the last 2 years. You know?
I understand. So just in terms of process, are we not going to have a second round of interviews with a narrowed down to two
Once
group?
once you get down to the two after we listen to them, okay, then we can make that decision. But it has to be one and two. So.
No, I understand.
So,
Just so that, and then if I missed this in a previous meeting, my apologies, but what I had anticipated was a similar process where we would be, at least I was focused on some, let's just say 30 or 40,000 foot level issues in this interview, and in the past we've had an opportunity to get a lot deeper in the second round, and that's at least for me what I had anticipated. So I don't disagree with anything that you've said. However, we owe it to this community, we owe it to the staff, the 10,000 plus people, to pick the right person. And I would say, at least just for me, I think I have certainly some ideas in mind of who I'd like to dig deeper with, but I don't know that at least me personally would have the ability to say that just from the time that we spent yesterday and today. And if I missed that we weren't going to have a deeper dive, then I would have probably insisted on more time and so on. So I'm not trying to drag out the process, but at the same time, and I'll be happy to do it 2 weeks from now or a week from now, however we publicly notice it.
Well,
But I think that what you're suggesting, at least from my perspective, is a big ask, based on hour plus.
well, I just don't remember that, and I'll tell you because I was the only one here then. When we interviewed Olsenati, we just went one round of interviews. We came up. We didn't even have a second because we had one consensus. We had 5 votes on the board of 7, if I recall. And
Well, look, if I'm the only one that
I just think that we
you don't have to do it my way. I'm not suggesting.
I just think that we need to move the process along because we need to get this community restored. I believe that compared to what I've been through before, I think that we have a good selection of candidates and we should go move forward. So unless I hear anything.
Yeah, I want to be clear. I'm not suggesting otherwise. I'm just saying that the one time I've been through this process, that's how we did it. And so if it's somehow the way we did it then is different than history, that's just not I don't know that. I can just tell you that that was more my expectation, is that opportunity to do that deeper dive. And if we're not going to do that, I'm not
Unless
sure how to get
unless I
answer
hear
your question.
otherwise, I really feel that we need to move on. This community has suffered enough. We got to move on and get it over with.
Rocky, can I just chime in just very briefly? Especially working in human resources, one of the things that we try and prevent from is the feeling that when you have a candidate in front of you, that it's only in comparison to the other candidates that are in front of you. And really, even in this case, I would say especially in this case, what you really want is the best individual for the health system, and not necessarily the best of the group that you have. So we went through the recruitment process as we have, and we've ended up at this point. And if that particular candidate is the best individual for this health system, then my recommendation is that's the way we should go. If it's not, and it's just the best of the group, then that's a different thing that I would suggest to the board members that we look, further as to, what direction we should go.
I understand that, but here's the thing is, the last thing that I want to see is obstacles, because I remember during the last interview, we ran across a lot of interference coming the other way. In other words, it was from the staff coming this way. I'm not going to get into names or anything like that, but it's time for us to fish cut bait. You got 4 candidates out of 330. And if you think that I would support opening this again, I will never do that. We need to move on.
Well, I think we're jumping ahead of things. I don't think Peter nor I was suggesting real.
Well,
all I'm saying is, we, from my perspective, unless other people think different, and again, I'm only one person, one voice, one vote. I was at least anticipating an opportunity for a deeper dive with 2 folks perhaps.
Rocky, I really think we need to come back next week, hear from the medical staff, and let's see if there's a consensus to narrow the choices down. And I think, let the process play out. We want to be objective. We want to give everybody an opportunity to have their say, but I think it's important that we have consensus as a board. This is an important decision, and we want to make the right decision. And while I can't hear everything Commissioner Uri's saying, I kind of get a gist of it, and I've heard Peter. Maybe it might be helpful if I hear, Commissioner Client and a position as well. I think maybe all of us should share that, whether or not we can come to a consensus next week. Let's see where the process plays out. Let's reset it.
Well, that's what my intentions were, to get ask everybody to bring, 2 of these 4 people, come back with 2 in mind. Now, if you don't have 2 in mind, come back with 1, but come back with somebody. You follow me? And I said, after we listen to the medical staff, and after we listen to the leadership staff, okay? Because I've been hearing all kinds of stuff out there that I really don't want to go through, and I'm not going to get into that now, So.
But Rocky, failure's not an option in 2 ways: us hiring the wrong person, or us not hiring the right person. So I think let's let the process play itself out. We have done everything we said we were going to do. We have attempted to find the best candidate or candidates for this. Let's get the input from the medical staff, and let's see if the board has consistent, has some kind of consistency in thinking. And if we can come to a consensus, that's a great decision. That means you've got 5 really, focused people making a decision as a group. Let's just see how it works out. I'm not trying to be difficult. I just think we don't want to predetermine one way or the other. We know what our mission is. We know what we're attempting to do. Let's get the input we're looking for and see where we are next week. And I think, we'll have some answers.
All right, so
I agree.
I agree with you. I don't have a problem with that. I just want to say we said we're gonna go do this, and they're gonna come in and make their recommendation. And then we'll figure out what we're doing. And then we'll see, maybe there's only one person in this group that'll fit the pattern. But I did not say that we're not going to listen to what they have to say. I think that you heard me clear on that. We want to hear from you, but you know, I gotta tell you, this community is up in arms about 2 years without a CEO. And we've done this twice. And the last perfect human being in the world, you know what happened to it. Anyway, so.
Well, at this point, I mean, we have a CEO. You know, I think a process has been established,
Right.
you know, that by the CEO search committee, you know, by Mr. Chairman and
Right.
Commissioner Wellens, and I think that we have followed that process.
Right.
I came in during that process as a commissioner. My understanding was that we were going to evaluate the 10 or so finalists that were presented, narrow that field down. We did that. We narrowed it down to 6. 4 outstanding candidates came in. We vetted those folks now. My understanding is we were going to meet, take the input from the medical staff and from the executive team, consider that, and then select the CEO. You know, if there is a qualified candidate, select that person as our next CEO. With, I guess what you're suggesting now is selecting an alternate, a fallback person in case the first choice is not available, which I think makes sense. Since we're convening in an open meeting, we have to have an open process to do this, to select a secondary candidate. But I'm comfortable moving forward with the process that has been established. I believe we're supposed to meet next week at 1 p.m. to have that discussion. I look forward to getting the input from the medical staff and from the community and from the executive team, you know, in their perspective. But fundamentally, one of the most important responsibilities of this board is to hire CEOs, to hire the certain senior leadership positions. And I look forward to fulfilling that responsibility.
No, exactly. You know, we're right back on the same page. So, all right, so is everybody okay with it? Okay. Thanks. Thanks for all your work, by the way. Are you there?
What's that?
I said, thanks for all your work. You drove me hard.
Everybody does all the work. I mean, everybody's done a lot here, and hopefully we don't have to go through this process again in our careers here at Broward Health.
I won't be around. Trust me. Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So